Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar about migrating one of BlueSoft system to Amazon Aurora. And so we should first introduce ourselves. I will start. I'm sitting with Łukasz in one room at this moment, but we are using different cameras for that. So my name is Mirosław, and I'm a cloud solution architect and AWS expert. And I'm here today with Łukasz.
Hello, guys and girls. I'm Lucas. I'm Lucas Bober, responsible in BlueSoft for one of the operational units, and we are concentrated to a focus on pharmaceutical business. And as you will see in a few minutes, we do have some kind of competencies over here in this area.
Great. So, Łukasz, please, let's use an introduction slide for just a few minutes to give some overview about BlueSoft and about the customer. And then we will move to AWS console to show a little bit about Amazon Aurora.
Okay, so I'll see in a sec if I'm sharing properly, and I am. Okay. Just for status, a few words about BlueSoft, about our client. We've been working with for a few years right now, and we are utilizing Aurora for. And a few words about our product, which is UMM. Okay, let's start with BlueSoft. BlueSoft was established in 2002, so we are working on the IT market for over 14 years right now. Our three pillars are web and mobile, integration, and data management. So it's quite a wide range of services. What we used to be called is technology agnostic company, but right now we prefer to use cross technology. As you can see on the down of the slide, there's a few logos of our partnerships. But at the same time, we are trying to use open source wherever it's possible. We've started to work with cloud computing and cloud services even before it was popular, so something like 5 years ago. And for the last 3 years, we are utilizing Amazon really hardly, especially for our products. We do have two of them deployed in Amazon Cloud. It's ES-Beetle, it's integration product, and UMM we are going to talk about today. In terms of BlueSoft, that's all. Let me to say a few words about Zoetis, because Zoetis was a driver of our UMM product deployment globally. It was one of the triggers just to optimize our product and make it more efficient. Not everybody knows that Zoetis is a spin-off from Pfizer. They are producing medicines, vaccinations, and they are supporting in all the proper ways pet owners, and they are producing things for animals. They are working on over 50 markets, and they've got, I think that right now, over $5 billion of revenue yearly. So they are quite huge company, one of the Fortune 500. Basically, we are working with them on within few areas. It's integration, data management, and user management. How does it start? Basically, 3 years back, we've started discussion about a system which could address all the challenges they had, because introducing over 50 applications within commercial area, altogether with some kind of a mishmash in terms of organization, created few challenges in terms of a single sign-on and user profile management. Altogether with all the different roles in the different applications, different subscriptions model, they had a really huge challenge just to manage that somehow. And it's where UMM, so one of our products, came into the picture. UMM is a user management module. It's one of our products in the IAM area. It's highly scalable, efficient, and really well-designed tool just to manage privileges, just to manage end user, unified user profile, just to support single sign-on. We've started with UMM in Zoetis 3.5 years back, and mainly for Zoetis, we've been able to roll out UMM on over 50 markets, basically worldwide. So from US, which is one of the biggest clients right now, to APAC and all the markets like Taiwan, Korea, and Japan. We've integrated over 60 apps through the time being, and through the UMM right now, all of the users from all of those applications can register, can log in, can manage their profile, and of course, and what is more important, what's the most important thing for Zoetis, Zoetis has an access to all of the profiles, in particular view, to all of the users from one single page. So they can manage users smoothly through this application. As you can see on the right bottom, at the beginning, there was an Oracle as a database. It was mainly caused by guidelines from Zoetis, which were given at the beginning of deployment and rollout of UMM in Zoetis, because Oracle is stated as one of the standards for Zoetis IT. So basically we had to align, and as we were rolling out the product within Zoetis, we were doing that based on Oracle database. Moving through the markets, moving through the subsequent applications we've been integrating, we started to think about potential improvements over here. We've done some kind of a list of enhancements, and we've started to verify what can we do to increase efficiency, what can we do to scale out easier, and of course, just to gain some kind of a cost synergies. Basically, moving with database from Oracle to Aurora, it was a perfect situation. It was a perfect match over here, because we had a chance to prove that, well, there is something cheaper than Oracle, and there is something with at least the same level of efficiency and scalability. We've compared functionalities we are using and utilizing from a database perspective, and it turns out that we can smoothly move from this technology to Aurora, sorry. Yeah, so I think that at this point, Mirek will take over and tell us a few words about Aurora itself. And just after, I will move with migration process itself.
Yeah, it's so important to understand what Aurora is, because so many people don't know about Amazon Aurora, and I'm really shocked that they don't know Amazon Aurora, because it's a quite amazing system to use. So I'm trying to share my screen. We see at this moment I'm logging to Amazon Web Services management portal, and as you can see, there are many different tools that you can use for your application. And here we have a database section, and of course we have something called RDS, Relational Database Service. So Amazon Aurora is a part of Relational Database Service. It's a database service that is managed by Amazon Services, not by you. So you can focus as an administrator or developer for schema design, query construction, query optimization, and everything else is managed by Amazon. So I'm going first to show you something about Amazon RDS, standard RDS, and then we move to Aurora. So just give me a second. And let's launch the database instance. So what is quite important, a few years ago, we had only MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. And these database systems were available to open in Amazon RDS. And now we have some different options like MariaDB or Amazon Aurora. But let's focus first on, for example, MySQL. And please remember that you still can use Oracle databases on Amazon RDS, and it's still a very good option for some deployments. But let's move through MySQL. So as you can see, you can choose a database engine. So let's use MySQL. Let's use the simple option. And now you can see you can choose licensing. So for example, for Oracle or MS SQL, you can use different licensing. So you can bring your own license model. You can choose database engine version. You can, of course, use size of your server that will be used for your database. And this is very important subject that for scaling purposes, you should choose a solution that is good for your deployment. And when you want to scale your database in Amazon RDS, you should choose a bigger database, because in RDS, standard RDS, it's not as simple as in Aurora, and I will show you that in a few minutes. But so you are choosing instance class. Then you have possibility to use a database RDS in multi-asset deployment, and I will switch to my tool for drawing, and I will show you something about Amazon. So you have this idea of region in Amazon. So for example, it's let's say Frankfurt. You have one region in Frankfurt for Amazon Web Services. And then you have this idea of availability zones. So availability zone is a set of data centers that is managed by AWS, and you have 3 of them in one region. So you have availability zone A, B, and C. And what's important when you are configuring RDS, you can choose between putting only one instance of database here and one instance of database here if you are choosing multi-asset deployment. So only with this option, only with this one simple option, you can choose if you want to use one database or 2 databases. But what's important, you are not managing any type of failover or migration of name of this instance. When something goes wrong, everything is managed by Amazon Web Services. And what is important and will be useful for Amazon Aurora, we have, of course, some kind of storage, which is available for standard RDS here with virtual machines. So this is EC2 virtual machine below, and EBS storage for standard storage. So with one option, you have possibility to have 2 databases that are synchronized and they are managed by AWS. And of course, you must specify here what kind of storage do you want to use. So you have general purpose SSD. So for 1 gigabyte, you have 3 IOPS of storage. And of course, for more advanced workloads, you can use provisioned IOPS. So then you can specify like, I want 100 gigabytes and 1000 IOPS. But what is extremely important here, and will be important in a few seconds, that you need to specify that in this moment, and you must declare that and pay for that, even for simple MySQL database. Okay, so just let's move to another step. Let's use some name. I'm always using my first initial of first name and my surname, so you can guess what I want. Oops, I have this database.
It's why you are using.
Yes, I'm using that everywhere. And of course, AWS give you possibility to put this database in some kind of virtual private cloud. So you are able to put it wherever you want, and you specify security configuration for this subnet. And you have possibility, of course, to specify database port, parameter group, option group, some stuff. Additionally, AWS manages backup and maintenance. So you don't need to have even knowledge about that. So everything can be done by AWS itself.
But the good thing is that they are notifying if there's any maintenance window.
Yes, it's extremely important. But that's this is really okay. But the magic begins with Amazon Aurora. So as you can see, Amazon Aurora is a MySQL and Postgres compatible enterprise class database starting at $1 a day. So, but it's not maybe as important as it should. But what is much important, it gives you 5 times the throughput of standard MySQL and 3 times throughput of Postgres. And it has several other options that I want to tell you about. But let's look to configuration. So as you can see, you have not too many options. So you have possibility to configure storage, you have possibility to configure other options, but here you're only choosing database engine, you are using instance class, still you need to specify how many CPUs and gigabyte of RAMs you need. Let's use R3. And we have this idea of replica. So I want to show you why we don't have here any information about storage and what the hell is replica. So let's move to our diagram. So this is standard configuration for multi-AZ deployment for standard RDS, but let's look what is happening with Amazon Aurora. So with Amazon Aurora, we have this idea of shared storage volume. So as we know, all databases have SQL layer, transactions layer, caching layer, storage layer, and Amazon decided to take this storage layer and move it as a independent part of AWS Aurora. So Amazon Aurora gives you possibility to add storage as possible, and you are declaring 10 gigabytes chunks. So when you are using like 5 gigabytes of data, so this 5 gigabytes of data is stored in 6 different copies around this shared storage volume. And please remember that we are talking here all the time about different availability zones in one region. So you have 6 copies of single 10 gigabytes chunk of data stored in this storage. So just give me a second for pasting that here. And in this example, even if 2 of these blocks fail, then you don't have any performance problems for writing, and for 3 of them, you don't have any performance problem with reading. So sometimes we have problems in one availability zone, and in this scenario, you don't have any type of this problem because your data is stored in 6 copies in 3 availability zones, and it's quite important. Additionally, what is really important here, you have this idea of read replicas. And with standard RDS, you also had this idea to use these read replicas. And what is important here for this main database server, you are going to write data. Of course, you can read data from it also. But for this type of deployments, when you have, for example, many reads operation from different systems, like you want to do some kind of business intelligence operations on this data or any kind of reading for your application, you can choose read replicas. And what is important here, that you have this storage layer available as a shared storage volume. You can use this data with very small replica lag. So it's around 10 or 20 milliseconds. So data which is written here, 10 milliseconds later is available here for other systems to use. because they're using the same storage as main database server. And you, of course, can use around 15 read replicas for your system, so it's extremely scalable. And of course, if anything is wrong with this database, server, then another read replica server will be promoted to a main database, and of course, the name of this server will be switched to another database server. So it's extremely amazing. And of course, you have this shared storage volume, and you don't have this idea of provisioned storage and provisioned IOPS. You are paying for used IOPS. So if you are using a lot of operations and a lot of storage, you are paying for a lot of operation, a lot of storage. But for a system that is using like 500 IOPS per second, input operations per second, input output operation per second, and the system doesn't need too much computing power and storage power, you are paying a very small amount of money for this type of system. So the only thing you need to choose at this moment is to configure what type of computing power do you need. And of course, if you want to create your first read replica, of course, you can create another later. So let's use Emborneko always, and password. And here on the second screen, you have the same configuration as for the standard database. So you are using subnet. Where do you want to put your database? You need to name your cluster. Of course, there's the only name for that. As you can see, you have standard port. You can change parameter groups and cluster parameter groups, option groups in different window, but let's move. And here you have this idea of priority. So for each read replica, you are adding a priority tier. And of course, when there is something wrong with main database server, then this replica with the smaller tier will be promoted to a main database server. So let's use tier 1. You can, of course, specify backup retention period. Let's use 15 days for that. If you want to use enhanced monitoring, you should choose this option. And of course, you can choose maintenance windows for that if you want or not. And let's create this database. And as you can see, one database server, one replica server with whole security, backup recovery, automatic failover, scaling, patching, monitoring is done with a few clicks, and it's available in just a few seconds. And I have one of these databases here. So as you can see, we are creating one database which is called Emborneko 3 and Emborneko 3 West 1B, which will be read replica. And here below, I have 3 database servers. And as you can see, I have one writer, and it's my main database server, and I have 2 read replicas for that. And of course, if you want to create another read replica, you just simply choose your Amazon Aurora, and you have instance action, and just create another read replica. Of course, you should change the name, other options, priority, and create replica. And as you can see in just a few seconds, every single replica has its own CNAME. So as you can see here, we have Emborneko, blah, 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 blah. Here we have Emborneko.cluster, blah, blah, blah. And using this name, you can specify in your application that this application should not connect to your writer, but only for reader. And then you don't have any performance issue or any type of problems with data that is not 100% correct, but you have this only 10-20 milliseconds lag between your writer and your read replica, which is extremely amazing and helpful with building quite complex systems. So Aurora is almost ready to use. So maybe we should at this moment talk a little bit about
Yeah, let's switch to the process of migration.
yes, what
So
is
it's-
quite important in this scenario.
Yeah. So basically, having said that and showing you all the possibilities which are available thanks to Aurora. Yep, it should be on in a second. I'm just waiting. Yeah, basically, having said that and giving a possibility to move into this kind of a really good technology,
So
something happened with
one second.
screen.
Are you sharing window or the
Yeah,
full
I'm sharing
screen?
window.
So 1 second, please. So Amazon Aurora is amazing system, but if you want to migrate your current database to Amazon Aurora, if you're using MySQL, it's quite simple.
Yep.
It's only changing the name of the database, and that's all for most of the systems. But what if we are using something different, like Aurora, like Oracle? Sorry.
Yeah. So I would love to add, if you are migrating from MySQL, you need to think about changing your system, changing your application, maybe just to utilize somehow read replicas and just to scale,
of course.
right? Because you need to think about readers in a different way that you were thinking before, because you've got few copies of your DB just to be utilized when scaling out. But yeah, what Mirek said, it's totally true. So when you're thinking about migrating from Oracle to Aurora, you need to think wider, and you need to think about gaps and differences in technology. And it was basically what we started with. We've divided the whole schedule, the whole work stream, into two separate sub processes. The first one we can call preparation process, and the final one migration, which was executed based on the assumptions created in the preparation. So what we've started with is a gap analysis, as smoothly described before. Of course, you need to know what are the differences when migrating into new technology, especially when you are using PL/SQL code. In our case, it was we had not such a case because we do have some kind of a logical layer which was helping us just to separate database from application layer. You need to know what to do when migrating into new technology. Of course, you need to set up a proper tool set. And first choice for us, it was AWS DB migration service. It's natural, but it's not so smooth as it's going to be. Basically, we had to compare what was the effect of migration, and we had to compare that with what we had in Oracle, and for that we use Liquibase. Of course, you need to plan it properly and set up all the dependencies, all the prerequisites, and verify if it's possible for you to utilize external source resources just to verify if your application after migration is working really smoothly and as requested as it was before. Basically, our assumption was not to communicate it too much in terms of external resources. Zoetis asked us that it should be transparent for them. So yeah, we've taken that as a given, and we focused on creation of automated tests or improvement of automated tests, because normally we are utilizing that in some way, but right now we had to extend utilization of our Test Ranger. Test Ranger is also a BlueSoft product. You should have it on your screen in a sec. It's not showing. Oh, you've got it right now. So basically, we focus on automated tests, As I've told you, we have extended test ranger test scripts. We started to use Gatling for efficiency testing, and of course JMeter just to connect both of them somehow. Having said that, and creating a proper tool set, having a schedule and proper communication before the process, we've started the process of migration itself. We've taken our QA database based on Oracle, and we moved that with Amazon tool into new Aurora development database. What you need to remember about, of course, it's a highlight given on the bottom of the screen, is that what we've heard from different migration work streams is that they were utilizing data from production. It's good because you know that it's a proper schema and a proper data set, but you need to remember about security. So you need to have scrambled or anonymous data. And it's why we've used QA environment just for this first step migration. As a second step, we've done two things in parallel. Of course, we've verified, and it's the top box over here, we've verified what's the effect of this migration using Amazon tool. And we've started to compare with using Liquibase with what we need to have. And at the same time, we've started to extend automated tests and preparing team for efficiency testing. Of course, verification of the output is a quite complex thing, and it can't be done with one iteration. So you've done it a few times, just improving migration procedure, just to have everything secured for the first verification, first end-to-end verification, which should happen on SYS environment. So the first integrated environment, not QA, not quality assurance, which is already integrated with external parties, with external resources, with external labs, but something what you've got, as I may say, locally, means only for you, but at the same time, it's something more that development environment in general. Over here, once again, just to highlight that it's quite important to have appropriate tool set just to verify if you've got what you expected and that you've created a proper migration procedure. So you are ready to the first proper test, which should be done on SYS environment. We've done it. So at this point, we had some kind of a semi-final migration procedure. We've executed that, all the steps, checklist before verification that everything was done. And just after we've been totally sure that it should be all good, then we've executed automated tests on SIS environment. At this point, it went quite smooth. We had only a few issues reported. We've fixed them, and we've created a report for our colleagues in Zoetis. Altogether, we agreed just to move with the whole migration procedure into QA environment. We've done that, setting up some kind of a maintenance slot for a day. It started on Saturday and we finished Sunday in the morning. So it was not really annoying for anybody. What is really important is that at this point, so moving with the migration process on QA level, you need to have ready to be re-executed procedure. You need to treat it as a dress rehearsal. There's no such a way just to execute it once again. So at this point, only minor changes, only minor enhancements are possible when comparing this process with migration on production. Of course, as usually and as every time previously, we've executed automated tests just to verify if, from our perspective, everything looks good, not only on a database layer, but also in terms of application and user interface, because we are using that. Basically, it's also the first step where third parties are verifying our application. So we need to be quite sure that everything is working properly and as expected. We had 2 weeks of UATs altogether with all the apps or the representatives from over those 60 apps we are integrating, we do have onboarded. And after those 2 weeks, we've created a report for Zoetis managers, and we had a call just to agree that we've got a green light just to move into production. Also, quite important highlight is that preparing this kind of a process, you should think about multi-step acceptation just to ensure that you've got proper visibility with an organization and you've got a proper focus of management. Because at the end of the day, when client is asking, just make sure that it's transparent for us and there's no process communication with an organization, sometimes something can happen. So it's really important for you as a vendor, as a partner, as a technology partner, to ensure that you've got a proper visibility with an organization. Having go for production migration, we agreed particular maintenance windows for each and every instance we've got. We are using few of them, and we haven't decided just to do some kind of a big bang. So we were moving smoothly from one database to another, migrating EU instance and US instance, APAC instance, and so on and so forth. Basically, it's a good approach also just to start with the smaller one. Okay, as a final slide, just a few benefits we can see from the whole process of migration. It can be shocking because it was at the beginning. We haven't expected too much of efficiency gain, but we can see that after moving with all of the automated tests and efficiency testing on the database layer only, we experienced noticeable gain in the efficiency. Of course, using all the benefits of read replicas and AZ, or by default, multi-AZ definition of Aurora, we are benefiting from scalability and security. Basically, what we've said before, using multiple read replicas within your app and creating your app or refactoring your app just to use multiple read replicas, it's helping you just to have the scalability possible. In Oracle, we had only a way just to scale up, means order bigger machine or bigger server, bigger EC2. So it's bigger computing power rather than EC2, sorry. And of course, organization and the whole process of maintenance and support. At this point, we know that there is only one organization, only one provider, regardless of license or service. It's only Amazon who's supporting us. And believe me, it's a good thing. Of course, you have to remember, and we started from that, we'll finish on cost synergies. Aurora is much more cheaper. So deciding on this way of utilizing your resources into RDS enables you at the same time just to move resources into something else. In our case, it was R&D and new functionalities, which are helping us to extend our product just to make it more efficient and marketize it somehow.
Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing Amazon.
Amazon. So let's switch to cameras one more time. So thank you, Łukasz, so much.
I'm just using my tie.
So just one second. So guys, what is really important here, you have many great options in Amazon if we are talking about database. So you can still use EC2 instances for your databases. You can start with Windows or Linux machine and then build your database there. Or you can use RDS and then you can use MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, Microsoft SQL, MariaDB on that. or you can use Aurora DB, which is compatible with MySQL and Postgres. Uh, Postgres is now in preview, but it will be available soon. But what is also important for new deployments is extremely easy. It's extremely easy. You are just creating machine, you are adding connection string to your application, and that's all. But as you saw in the presentation, for actual projects, when you want to migrate to Amazon Aurora, it's not that easy. You need to understand how the Amazon Aurora works, and also you need to know process and understand that. And that's why
basically you need to also have a proper tool set and the knowledge of how this tool set is going to work with, two different technologies. I think that was the most critical phase in the project, just to pick up the proper tool set, and also automated tests. Yeah. I've highlighted that a few times talking about the process, but I think that's really important. You don't want to have the whole testing, in your hands and manually. I think that you need to think about automated every time you need to think about migration from one technology to another.
Yeah. So after this webinar, because I want to also show you 3 small things, we will send you information how you can contact with BlueSoft and have first consultation about migration of your project, because it's really important to speak with a guy or girl with experience, and they will show you how to do that and what tools are the best.
Let's call it consultant.
Yes. So guys, for a second, I'm going to switch to my desktop one more time. So please give me a second. I want to show you called Cloud Assist On. If you are using AWS at this moment and you have problem with finding great people and you don't know if everything is configured properly, you can simply go to cloudassiston.com and you can order one of 3 plans that are available for you. So you have unlimited small jobs. So if you want to change security groups and do snapshot or configure read replicas for your Aurora database, you can simply choose this plan, and also you will have resource utilization report, map of AWS resources, etc., etc. And with other plans, you have the security report, backup report, configuration report, cost auditing and recommendations. And I'm almost sure that you will receive this type of cost savings after our service. And additionally, in enterprise plan, we have few great options, but in my opinion, what is the most important, you have access to architect. AWS certified architect professional level. There are not too many people on the planet who have this certification, and in BlueSoft we have a lot of people who have this type of certification. So if you have AWS environment, or anyone who is using AWS, please use this service or send him information about this service. Another thing, so if you have a second, please go to blog.bluesoftglobal.com, and here in the right column you have this link to download Amazon Aurora cheat sheet. It's a document when you have all the information about how to create Aurora cluster, Aurora prerequisites, information about naming constraints, etc., etc. So you can have it on your desk, and when you're using Amazon Aurora, you can simply use this document. So let's switch about everything we've been talking about with all the links and information how to use consulting services from BlueSoft. Yeah, and I hope that was informative for you.
Yep, and we can see you on the next webinar.
Yes, of course. So we have webinar each month, so please follow our Facebook or just simply read emails from BlueSoft and you will receive information about everything. So Łukasz, thank you so much for the webinar. And thank you guys for being here and attending this webinar. I hope that this information will be
Fruitful.
fruitful for you. Yeah, for sure. So thank you very much and have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.